Hello, and welcome back to the show. That show being the Just Follow Joy podcast, the person welcoming you back being me, Ariana Joy, human design reader and teacher. And as always, I'm so excited you're here. The reason I'm excited you're here today is we're talking to Rohini Moradi all about the Akashic Records. Rohini Moradi is an internationally recognized teacher of Akasha and spiritual explorer. Through her revolutionary approach to empowering spiritually curious individuals, Rohini guides her community through a wondrous journey inward so they can experience the awe of a limitless reality. She's also a 5/1 emotional manifesting generator with the gifts of speaking the spontaneous truth of the moment, magnetic charisma, and helping others become their own highest authority. I'm so excited to share this episode with you because this is one of those things I've really wanted to understand, but as much as I've read about the Akashic Records, still really didn't get. And this conversation opened my eyes a lot more to what the Akashic Records even are and some very new ways of looking at it that I hadn't heard before. So if you feel the same way, which I think is really easy because similar to human design, information about the Akashic Records can seem really out there and confusing and weird and sometimes kind of restrictive. But if you've wanted to learn about this and didn't really know where to start, Rohini does a fantastic job of making this really practical and understandable, and gave us a lot of insight on, how you can phrase questions or ask for guidance from the Akasha, like what the Akasha even is and how we enter it and why it's so helpful to us, all of that stuff. And she's also just a really fun and awesome person. I connected with her immediately and we couldn't stop laughing about literally everything on this episode. It was so much fun. And the generator and manifesting generator sparkle is very blatant here. But with all that said, I'm done blabbing. So let's dive into this chat and learn from Rohini.
Okay.
So you're, oh my God, this door keeps opening. Anyway,
It's
time to sell you, stupid house. You're so old.
poor house. The house.
No, I love this house.
Trying to give you a hug.
So
Like,
much.
I love you.
I love this house. Just telling Rohini that we're selling my childhood home. And it is a bummer. I'm looking out at our very Persian, oh my God, wait, I didn't tell you this. So, I mean, as all Persians, my dad loves fruit. And so as soon as he got to buy his own home, he was like, we are planting every kind of fruit tree ever. And my friend came over, and it's so funny because growing up with this sort of thing, you forget that that's not super American and normal. My friend came over and she was like, oh my God, you have so much fruit here. This is so cool. And I was like, oh yeah, most people don't have 12 different kinds of fruit trees in their backyard.
That's amazing. How many fruit trees? I mean, what type of fruit trees do you have?
Oh, girl, everything. We have grapefruit. We have a pomegranate tree, of course.
Of course, I was gonna ask.
We have a donut peach tree. We have a albalu tree, so sour cherry.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah. Oh, my dad
Give me a
was
seed. Oh my gosh.
intent on bringing that. We have a plum tree that whenever I would come here in the summer and no one had been here, because this house has been not really, my parents have lived down in San Diego near me for quite a while now. But whenever I would come back, all the plums had fallen off the tree. I had a video of just plums everywhere. And my dad was like, have the landscaper guys been coming? And I was like, I'm not sure.
I don't think so. They definitely have not been coming.
No, I have a feeling no. But also, so what I wanted to start recording for was that you were saying that your parents have had the only Hindu temple in Iran, which by the way, anyone listening, Hinduism's not common in Iran.
No.
It's Islam,
it's weird.
Judaism maybe, Christianity, and
very small percentage. Yeah. It is really weird. I don't know. They individually found Hinduism. I think they were both like everybody else, the Muslim culture is a part of everyone's life, even if you're not, so they grew up in that way. And my mom, after college, traveled to India and just really fell in love and felt like home there. And my father, during college, he went to school in Detroit. Actually, he found Hare Krishnas that he fell into. So that's how they each found
so different.
And they would go back go back to Iran. My dad was initiated by Prabhupada, who's like a really big figure in like Krishna consciousness stuff. So he opened up like a temple through that in Iran, which everyone was like, that's not going to work there. That's going to be crazy. What are you even doing? It's dangerous, first of
Yeah. Wait,
all.
what year did he open it?
I think it was like probably 1979, like right around the revolution. Yeah, it's really
That's right when my dad got out of Iran.
smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you were there, you were stuck there.
Good God. And when did your family, I was about to say get out of Iran, leave Iran. When did they leave
Well,
Iran?
we got out.
Yeah.
It's true. It is get out.
It is true.
They were trying to get out, like most of my upbringing, from what I remember, but we were finally able to flee,
Yeah.
like in
Okay, yeah. Let's just call it what it
1989.
is.
I don't know. It felt like
Yeah.
it felt awful, but it felt good because I know they were trying to get out for a long time because they were being like persecuted and like there's always like government officials at our house. It was too much to deal with, and like really dangerous to
Yeah.
be who we are there.
My God, seriously. Well, I'm so happy you're here, so I get to
Ah,
talk to you.
thanks. I'm happy to be here and talk to you too.
Hey. So, okay. So I have a feeling, I feel like I heard you talk about this before, but the Hinduism, it sounds like it laid some foundations for the Akashic Records. And
Yeah.
I'd love to hear about that. But first, I want to ask a question that I think is on most people's minds when will see the title of this episode, which is, what are the Akashic Records?
Totally. Everyone. I mean, of course, me too. Anybody who hears that, they're like, "What do you do?" I'm like, I don't know. Like the elevator pitch thing, you know how important that is? Like you should be able to tell people what you do in like 10 seconds or less, right?
Mm,
And I'm like, I worked on it for a really long time and finally I was like, I just like teach people magical levels of meditation. That's really what it is. If you really want to like explain it, but I can break it down in the way that the Akasha is a Sanskrit word meaning like ether or like air, like the substance of the universe. They didn't have like a definite meaning, but that's what like the rishis, who were the people who channeled in the Vedas, who sat at the foothills of the mountains and like meditated and brought in all the information of the chakras and Hinduism and all that. They just called it Akash. This is like ether. This is a substance that exists, and this substance is pretty much like us pre-manifest and post-manifest. So it's this recycled energy that's ever evolving. And as Urban Laszlo, who's one of my favorite Akashic Records like writers, has said, is like it's everything is always in formation. That's kind of what information means. Like it's always forming, it's always building, and it's always growing. And this formation carries like the energy of where it's been and what it's done and how it's grown. And that's pretty much what the Akashic Records are. It's like, in a way, going so deep within ourselves, since we have all the components of the universe, and seeking answers for where our energy or the energy of the universe has been and possibly will be. But that kind of stuff I'm not too into. I think it's just more about the self-discovery part that really drives me to teach about the Akasha, because it's like when we know who we are and how powerful we are and how connected to everything we really are, then it just puts joy back into our lives. And that's your podcast.
That's me,
I didn't even mean
baby.
to do that.
Yeah, and I love that. And hey, that's why I do human design. It's in a
Yeah.
different way, but
Yeah.
showing us who we are, showing ourselves that, it can be fun and it
Yeah.
can be ease filled, maybe not always easy, but ease filled, right? And that we're connected to the universe. My friend
Yeah.
likes to say that, we're all just, I actually don't know exactly how she explained it, but like we're all a crystal ball just broken up into different shards, right? All
Yeah.
just different reflections of humanity, which is really cool. But that's
Mhm.
really cool. Also, I have a friend named Akash.
Oh, you
Um,
do?
it's
That's
funny. Yeah.
a
But,
common like Indian name, Akash.
mhm,
Hmm.
yeah. Um, I don't know if he'd still call me his friend. I slapped him once. I don't remember it. Everyone,
You're reliving that. You're like, wait a minute, is he my friend?
is he my friend?
I don't
The poor
know.
guy. But anyway,
I've been there.
I
Don't
fully
worry.
don't remember it, but I was like, I guess you must have deserved it. And I was like, I actually don't know if we can say that for
Of
sure.
course. Who
But
knows? Something happened. Like, would you just go slapping people for no reason? Probably not.
no, I'm totally insane. Anyway, but anyway, so with you, so how did you get into this? How did you like find this?
Well, I found the words Akashic Records after I was like in tremendous amount of pain. And it was during like a meditation. I was just like, how do I heal from this like incredible trauma I'm experiencing? And um soon after that, I started seeing the words Akashic Records everywhere. And at first I was like apprehensive because I was like, what is Akashic Records? So I Googled it and I was just like, the universe, like it was just like really out there, new age stuff that I'm just like really, I'm to each their own. You like what you like. I just don't, I'm not attracted to that, you know? So I was like, ooh, maybe I'll stay away from this. And then it just like kept on coming up like, gosh, like, okay, I think I have to pull the string on this one because it won't leave me alone. And
Mhm.
then this is at a time where there wasn't as much information out either. Like it was just like, I found like two articles and like one really weird YouTube video, and that's about all there was.
Honestly, that tracks. That really tracks. So I was gonna tell you, I mean no disrespect for anyone who teaches or uses the Akashic Records, but I have never connected with someone who uses it, and I'm like, I'm not quite sure what's actually going on in your head. I'm not gonna say you're not entering Akasha, but
Yeah,
I don't know about this. And by the
what
way,
is happening?
what is honestly what's happening? Like you get that really weird, funky feeling. You're like, I should not be here. Like I'm on the wrong side of YouTube.
Dude, that's yeah, that's exactly the feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, but the same thing happened with me in human design, honestly. Like I
Yeah.
at first I was like there was a part of me that was like I'm meant to know this, but
Hmm.
another part of me that was like I'd like to get as far away as possible from this. This looks really weird and I don't like what this dead guy is telling me.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
but there as you know, different ways of approaching it. But anyway, okay.
Totally. Yeah, and there are different channels. I was just thinking about this actually right before we jumped on when I emailed you, like, are we like, is this video recorded? Do I have to wear makeup? For some reason, I started thinking about human design, not even realizing that that's what you do. And I was like, huh, because like it feels, because I was thinking about chakras. I think it's my weird ADD brain that goes like all around constantly, right? I'm like, okay, chakras, and then thinking about like the new thing I'm gonna record on them and whatnot, and then like, but this human design thing, because it's like seems like it's an evolved version of the chakras, but at the same time, like I'm like, is it appropriated because it's like the guy, like the person, and then I started thinking about the person, and I'm like, everyone can be a channel and like receive information, so it's not like shouldn't judge where the information comes from. But then I was like, but the frequency, like this is where my brain goes. Who knows? Because like whatever we're emitting is like the full of us, right? Whatever we're suppressing or putting out is like our full version of the self. And then like whoever we are is what we're attracting our experience to be.
Mhm.
So right now I'm in a loop about human design. I want to learn more about it. Is where I'm getting to. But the same with the Akashic Records stuff. And that's why I started digging and digging and digging. And I'm like, oh my God, because it's like it's all appropriate. It's like the same exact story as I just told. It's totally appropriated. The word Akashic Records, it's like the Theosophical Society kind of one of the founders went to um Tibet, sat with Buddhists, traveled around India, and then came back and understood what it was, but then like kind of like left out that information and changed it into this new idea,
Mhm.
and that's where the problem I think lies with things where it's like you leave that history behind and you create a new thing out of it.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what the question was, and now I'm on totally rambling.
It
But
doesn't matter because you made a great point. First off, the fact that you followed this like rabbit hole, this is very much aligned with your profile in human design.
oh
Yeah, the
wow.
heretic investigate. Honestly, it's so funny because listening to you say all this stuff, 5 1s. So there are two parts to your profile. There's the first number, which is your conscious profile line. It's really what you would identify with a little bit more, and then your unconscious profile line, which is what others would see from you more. So you would probably recognize it in yourself, but it wouldn't be the first thing you say about yourself.
Mm.
So we're both 5 1s actually, and so is the founder of human design. And our biggest job as 5 1s is to dig down and like really go down rabbit holes and learn and study and follow that string, or like pull on that string, as you said, of information to find quote unquote the truth, even if it's our
Mm.
truth, and then universalize that on a really big in a really big way. So
Whoa.
we're like the most interactive human design profile because we're meant to be. We're meant to share our information with the most people possible. But what's really
Mm.
funny is the 5 line is very much like it's called the heretic, and a lot of it is like being a rebel. So the first thing, and like being very frank and honest and saying things people might not like to hear sometimes. So, and there are other parts of your chart. Gate 20 is very much that. It's like spitting facts in the moment in a way that maybe other people couldn't do it. Like it would be too heavy. But it's funny hearing it from you, because you do
Wow.
it in the moment. But as a 5 1 too, like our job is really to get to the bottom of something and be like, wait a second, this shit sucks. Like we need to revolutionize everyone, the truth. And it's like I'm not gonna lie and tell you it's okay. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, so it's funny. I
That's
was just thinking
insane.
that as you were talking, but yeah.
I mean, see, like, and then things like that happen. I'm like, but it's real, like, same with the Akasha records, honestly, because it's like, I'm always questioning it, and I think it's healthy to do that. It's never like, I love the scientific mind where nothing is ever definite, and we're always going to be researching and learning more about something instead of just being like, nope, that's what it is. You close so many doors in that way. So I'm always going to be questioning everything in
Me
that way.
too. Literally me too, honestly. And we both have, sorry to bring human design in
I
again.
love it. No, bring, tell me.
Okay. We both have undefined crown centers. And so we pick up all of those questions. And then,
Mm.
so from the outside world, and, you know, it's funny because people think that people with defined crown centers and mind centers, like those are the people who think a lot. And it's true. But as people with undefined crown centers, like we pick up a lot of information too, besides our own
Mm.
thoughts. And so it's like constantly funneling in this raw inspiration from the universe. So yeah, we're probably always going to be wondering. But I also love that because I have to tell you, I feel the same way with human design, especially
Mm.
about the appropriation. And with the Akashic Records, I feel like that's so true, right? And
Mhm.
so human design is made up of 5 systems. The I Ching, Hindu Brahmin chakra system, so the
Mhm.
7 chakras, as you know, and then Kabbalah actually, and quantum
Mm.
mechanics and Western astrology. And he really did reimagine a lot of those things. And even with like the I Ching, I look it up and it's like it sounds kind of like the gates, which is what they're like the gates are based on. But there is still a difference, and they don't always cover that. And it was kind of done through his own channel. So I think it is interesting, and I feel that way with a
So
lot of stuff from the East, right?
yeah, totally. Like everything we have is information that's been received in one way or another. A discovery of something that has already existed. So it's not like out of question. Like I'm not surprised when new information comes in or anything. But like we were talking about, like weird, like creepy side of it, we're like, ooh, I
I
don't know if this is
know.
like
That's
it's
a
that
good, yeah.
feeling. It's our inner thing telling us like that's not what I'm trying to tell you right
Yeah.
now. You're
Not
you're
quite that.
finding it. Yeah, you're getting there, but that's cold, but hot on the information
Getting
side.
colder, ice
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah. Because a lot of times when we look for these things too, like things where we want to feel validated or full or loved or that we belong, we're not usually in like the best state of mind. We're not the most comfortable. It's usually when we're really uncomfortable where we seek these things. So that's when the dangers arise of who you're going to listen to and what you're going to listen to. And that's how a lot of cults are started,
Oh my
actually.
God. Yeah, no, because you're in a vulnerable
Yeah.
position. Absolutely. And so one of the people I learned human design from, Jenna Zoe,
Mm.
she talks a lot about how the spiritual industry is so unregulated.
It's so unregulated. It's always been though,
Yeah.
and that's why there's been so much hardship that's come down in that community too. The spiritual community is the human race. Like that's we just got to get real about that. We're all spiritual beings, you know?
We're all
It's
people too.
we're all people. We all have our perception. We all have our experiences. We all have our brains, whether we're thinking about it in the terms of the universe or like just our inner being or whatever. Like everyone is doing what they're spiritually supposed to be doing, you know? So it's not like it's a different community, but that's what like makes me feel weird about it too, honestly, is like when they're like, no, we are the spiritual community and everyone else just hasn't been woke, like they haven't woken up yet. It's like, no, everyone's just kind of doing what they're supposed to be doing. We're all on different like timelines of growth. Like not everyone needs to be doing the same exact thing, actually. I don't know.
No.
Oh.
I love that. And that's so true. Because I think all the time, like sometimes I will look at certain situations and be like, when will they know? When will they learn? And I'm like, learn what? Like,
Yeah.
to say this way that I'm doing. One time I had a friend ask me, she was like, Ariana, what if human design isn't like the only way? And I was like, who said it was? Like, I don't believe it is. Like, I believe there are probably so many like, oh my God, we could get so in depth here, but like, there
I
are
love
probably
it.
so many facets, right? That,
Yeah.
what if, okay, imagine this with me, people, for a second. What if God or the universe is like this super multifaceted thing, and it's kind of like the Rashomon effect, where whatever side you see, you just assume is the only side, but really it's
Ooh.
like a million-sided dice, and it's just
Yep.
like you just happen to get that one, and that's your understanding of it. But that also
Mhm.
reminds me, have you ever seen South Park?
Yeah.
Okay. The episode where they like all the people go to hell and they're like they're like, wait, what am I doing in hell? Like I was a devout Lutheran, and this other person is just like, I praise Allah. And the guy is like, yes, well, none of you chose the correct religion, so that's why you're here. And they're like, well, who was it? And he was like, the correct answer was the Mormons. The Mormons were right. So
Oh my God.
anyway.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh. That's really hilarious. I
uh,
mean, I love the way you explain that too. That makes so much sense to me. It's just the side that you're able to see, and therefore you're like, that's it, you know?
that's the one, baby.
We want to belong. We want to feel like what we think is the right way to do something so that we keep doing it, so that there's a purpose behind it or whatnot. And it's not like a dig on anyone anytime I say
No.
like, you know, religion or spiritual, whatever, like whatever you believe honestly is like perfect. That's great. As long as it's making you happy and it's putting out love into the world, like that's all that really matters, right?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I really, really do. So, okay, I want to get back a little bit to this.
Oh yeah.
Having too much about talking to you, honestly. But
I know.
so I heard once so I did this sort of thing. Have you ever heard of Matt Kahn?
No.
Okay, that's fine. But I was doing this sort of meditation that he was guiding people through,
Mhm.
and it was about entering the Akashic Records. And he was
Mhm.
like, "There's a protocol. You can't just like go in. Like people will
Mm.
retrieve the information for you, or like beings will retrieve the information for you. So no, what is it? So what is it like to enter the Akashic Records or Akasha?"
Well, it's a frequency. You
Mhm.
put your body in a certain frequency. I mean, the Akasha is living like right here. It is us, within us, around us. It's everything. It's energy pre-manifest. So you can think of it that way. It's not anything outside of our reach or being, really. And we are every day within it.
Mhm.
And what we're doing when we're doing these Akashic meditations or trying to get very specific is try to find like a specific answer to a question based on its previous existence or maybe possible future existence or whatnot. So it's like the possibility of it. And if we're talking about like quantum levels, like there are so many different possibilities of it. So the information you're going to receive is going to be based on what you're doing in life in this current moment, like what frequency you're currently putting out, if that makes
Ooh.
any sense. So there aren't any like gatekeepers, and this is when I started getting like huge sick to my stomach feels, because I was like really and I'm not talking I am talking bad,
No,
I
it's
am
I
talking
get
bad.
it.
I
I
just
get it.
don't I personally don't resonate with it, you know? Like it just
Yeah.
doesn't fit my, maybe I just don't understand, you know? Maybe that's what it is.
To be honest,
But
I've never really resonated with it either.
yeah.
I haven't resonated with a lot of Akashic Records teachers. Honestly, I've had like two readings and
Mhm.
neither of them like really hit. But
But you know, those people too, like there's compassion because they're trying to find their place. And I was there too, you know, when I first started learning about it, I was like, okay, this is what I must believe. This is what's happening. Um, and I feel like like a religious background like mine or anyone's like would be the most fertile ground for believing anything, you know? So, um, at that point, like, yeah, I was like, oh yeah, so there's these gatekeepers that I have to like get past, but they're not going to let us get in. So I have to like us, you know, like, what am I talking about? Get in. So then I have to like talk to these like people who've existed or possibly haven't, or who I possibly have known who are going to get the information from me. And it's like, the answer is always so simple. It's like the information is just within yourself, and you just have to believe in yourself, and you just have to believe that you are capable. It's the only gatekeeper is you. Like that's the
Hmm.
gatekeeper to receiving any information like that. It's a deep level of meditation where you go so inward into your heart space that you open up the portal and connection to the universe. And that's how you're receiving the information. It's not really anything else. But honestly, like knowing there's like a gatekeeper or like people with you or whatever helps some people. So if that's what's helping you, that's great because the whole point is being introspective and seeing who you are so that you can output the right vibrations and frequency to the people and the world around you so that we can all, you know, live happily together. Like that's the whole point of it. So we can be happy, the people around us can be happy. Um and not that we'll be happy all the time because we are humans and things are always going to go up and down. But for me, like happiness means like neutral, you know, like in the center, not overtly ecstatic, but not overtly depressed. Like
Hmm.
somewhere in the center where we could see both, but are comfortable and like right there. Um, and that doesn't need to be like an all the time thing either, you know? Like it's okay. It's okay if it's not. It's okay if sometimes we're like really, really happy or like really, really sad. It's the human experience. It's about getting to know ourselves through the human experience. And, you know, sometimes we find out about different lives we've had, which is, you know, really beautiful because we see the patterns we brought on from those lives and we decide if we want to keep it or not. We see like the humanity and just love that exists within ourselves. I think that's the most beautiful part about it.
You know,
There aren't any gatekeepers, long story short.
okay. See, I was like, oh my God, I want to dive into that past lives question, and maybe I will in a little bit, but I have
Yeah.
to. I have.
I like the gatekeeper thing though, but it's true. It's like it makes you feel little and kind of like you don't belong or you don't know anything and somebody always has to help you and hold your hand and there are these things that know way more than you that are hiding information that you cannot have access to.
No, it's like it's my past lives are probable
Why would the
frequency.
universe be so weird? It's not that weird. It's just
Weird and secretive.
you're creating the weirdness, people.
You're making it awkward. It was fine.
But that's a part of the universe too, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's that. Like the weirdness is supposed to be there for introspection again, you know?
Mhm. Um, so okay, so it sounds like anyone through, some self-training or,
Yeah.
whatever it is can enter their
Hmm.
own Akashic records.
Yeah.
What's been one of the most interesting experiences you've had with it, or one of the most profound? And I'm sure you've had quite a few, and you've done readings for other people too. So
Yeah.
could
Hmm.
you give an example from that too? Because I'm really interested in both.
Yeah. I mean, with the other people thing, it's hard sharing other people's stories because
Oh,
it's
you don't
like,
have to. It's fine.
yeah, no, I know. I just like But I will tell you, like, reading for somebody else is like one of the most beautiful things ever. And it's just because you're taking yourself out of your own energy and you're putting your soul within someone else's like frequency, that energetic pull, and you get to experience how they feel, because like you're in a very special like um space of theirs. It's and being able to see their lives and like the way they see themselves, and the information that comes up and the way they react when you give it to them is like such a beautiful process. I don't do it that often anymore because it takes a lot out of me, because it's like a really deep level of meditation, and taking yourself out of your body and putting that essence of yours in somebody else's, like I was gonna say uh meat package. That sounds weird. It's like someone else's like body is like weird,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, do reading our own is like a lot more difficult than reading someone else's, because then we're not used to their energy. So when we do enter their space, um, you notice like a definite shift, and the information that comes isn't the same as like what your loop is. So for sure the discernment there is very clear. When we're reading for ourselves, like some of the best experiences I've had, I mean, they're like, I'm trying to pick something, and the thing that keeps coming to me is like, I asked like about the Akasha and what it is, and this is after I was like, just I was feeling really drained from all the books I was reading on it and all the workshops and whatnot, and it was, I don't know. I felt like a slight psychosis from over information within the spiritual community in general.
Happens to the best of us. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like spiritual exhaustion or like spiritual academic exhaustion is such
Yeah,
a thing.
it is, because we don't let ourselves like integrate, and some of the information is just not meant to integrate anyway. So it's like it gets really confusing and conflicting. And I had someone be like really mean to me then. So it's just like I'm sad, I'm over informed, and there's like a weird leader person who's just like off. Like I'm just gonna unplug for a while and go inward. And it was like during one of those first meditations, like 3, 4 years ago, where 4 years ago, where I asked about the Akasha. I'm like, so what is the Akasha? And like what I was shown, like I have never surrendered in this way during a meditation, where I just let go and I was just open to so much. I didn't have any expectations. I just wanted to know what all this information meant, and like why I'm even receiving it or seeking it or whatnot, right? And what I was shown was the universe and its creation, and how it's ever expanding, and how these tiny little particles aren't made out of nothing, and it's made out of everything. Like every single little particle has every particle in it. Like it's really, that's why like even with quirks and stuff, like where they're disappearing and appearing, and there's, it's like everything is within us and within the universe. Like we are like I was shown how truly everything we are, because it built in a way where it built the creation of the universe, it built the creation of like galaxies, it built the creation of like planets, it built how the creation of our souls, and how like it evolves like from like a little plant to like different bugs to different animals and to humans, and like all the different things you possibly can be in the universe. And then I was like, holy moly, um we are everything. And I've heard that before. Obviously we've all like, you are the universe. But like to see it explained in that way through the Akashic lens was really beautiful. And shortly after that was when I made the connection with the my upbringing with Hinduism and the rishis and the Akasha. And I didn't mention this earlier, but what the big trauma that I had was, this is a trigger warning. I'm always like, oh, should I say it or not? But I lost my 2-month-old daughter, who am I named Rishi? And honestly, I had no idea. Like, I maybe in my subconscious somehow I had an idea of the significance, but I really didn't. And it was just like we were reading baby names, and I was like, "What about Rishi?" And and my oh sorry, and my husband was like, "Yeah, that sounds like a great name." So whether it was going to be a boy or a girl, we were going to name our baby Rishi. And later on through the Akasha, I find out it was the rishis who sat at the foot of the Himalayas who were channeling in all the Vedas, which I knew about the Vedas and, the people who meditated at the foothills. I just didn't realize they were called the rishis. And then later on, as I started studying more about the rishis, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is kind of a really weird coincidence. Um, I realized that they were prepared their bodies in a way through, asana, through breathing, through the food they ate, through the way they sat, so that they could be an open vessel for the information of the Akasha. And they referred to the Akasha in that way. And I'm like, that's what we are learning to do right now. That is exactly what I'm learning to do right now, is how to channel in this universal information on that degree, not possibly not the same degree as them. That was their life. That's what they did all day and all night, but to a very small degree. Um, so yeah, that being shown the universe was one of the most profound things. It
No,
just led
really.
to so much more, but it did. Like I was just like,
Yeah.
it opened up something in my brain that just, I don't know, like a poof sound that overtook and cleaned it cleared all like the clutter out. Like it gave me clarity, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, that's why you keep pulling me towards this. I get it now.
Did you feel like you got relief from the loops or patterns that had been going on in you and in your mind? Like, what did you pull from that in the day to day? I mean, clarity on its own is amazing already, but
Yeah.
how did you see that?
Some loops, yeah, some loops definitely, but it takes a lot of work, to get rid of those things, especially like early childhood stuff and adolescence. I mean, any stuff, honestly. But it helped me get clear on who I am and what I want to do. It helped me get clear on um, what information I want to take in. It helped me get clear um, on like not like my purpose, because we don't have just like one purpose in life, but what my purpose at this time is. And therefore some of the self-doubting loops did go away, like that were just like imposter syndrome stuff. Who are you to do this? It's like, well, you were actually like raised to do this. And so
Yeah, honestly, it's so incredible to me that that wasn't really talked about as much when, like other people had been teaching it to you. I'm sure there's like a lot to it, so maybe they just didn't get to that part, but
mm,
that's so fascinating, right? How it all comes full circle.
it does. It really does come full circle. And like I play with this idea too, like did we come here with like a purpose in mind or something that we wanted to do? And there's no way, sure, people can talk about soul contracts or whatever, in that way. And the way I see it is like, sure, like through like the karmic lens, which could be considered a soul contract or whatnot, but it's like the frequency of what you were before will attract your new life so that you can keep growing. So it's just like this slow growth and evolution. And some of us are here to do the things that we're doing. And like it's what, and it's so cheesy to say, but lights up our soul and keeps us going. I question it all the time, to be honest. It's like, ugh, am I doing the right thing? Because it's like it gets exhausting too, like constantly having to work on that part of yourself. And I'm interested to learn about the human design like lens on that too, and like life's purpose and whatnot.
Well, my personal feeling is I mean, there is one center in the chart that really talks about like having more of a defined purpose or feeling like you have more of a defined purpose. But
Uh-huh.
in my opinion, even those people can wear many hats in their
Yep.
lifetime.
Hmm.
It's just they, in general, it's a little more obvious which way they're gonna go internally. Like it's kind of like people like you, I say that you're like a cable car, you're kind of on this line that like you know where you're going, you just don't necessarily know how you're gonna get there or why
Yeah.
you're going there. Yeah. People like me, it's much more like that stuff is brought to me. So having the right
Um,
people around me is really helpful, and I can attract those people by, you know, living in alignment with myself, obviously. That's the first step. And then those places find me too. So someone like you would be really drawn, let's say, like, you know, I'm really drawn to go to India. I really want
mm,
to do that. Not to say that that can't really work the same way for me, but
mm,
it's like I don't have to go looking for that because that's not a natural draw for me. It's not like I'm naturally magnetized to places,
mm,
even if I have an intuitive feeling like, you know, I have a feeling I'm going to end up in Hawaii for a while. I don't know how long and I don't know when,
mm.
but I don't, it very much is like it's going to be brought to me. Like the opportunity is going to be brought to me. People like you don't have to go looking for it because like it's already in them, like which way to go. So this is like
Oh.
location and place, and also purpose of like what you want to do. So a lot of people who have this same thing in your chart, like not all of them, but they know from by like age 12 or 13 what they want to do. But it doesn't show up that way for everybody. Like for my mom, it didn't really show up that way. For my sister, it didn't. But I have three friends who have this in their chart and they all knew by age 13 what they wanted to do because they like felt it resonate in their core. They're like, this
Whoa.
is it. Um, it's really interesting. But yeah, that's one
So
way.
what did I want to do when I was 13?
Yeah. And the thing is that it can just be one stop on the cable car, right? Like just
Mhm.
because it's on your path doesn't mean it's the final one. That's the way I look
Yeah.
at it, at least.
So are you a projector? Is that why you wait, like you things come to you,
No,
right?
no, no, no. So I'm a generator and you're a
Okay.
manifesting generator.
Okay. Okay. I don't understand
So
anything.
wait to respond is our
Oh.
strategy. But what I'm talking about is the G center. So it's more like basically if you have an undefined G center, places find you and like purpose finds you. If you have a defined G center, like it's already in you to like know which way to go. Like you have consistent direction basically or sense of direction. And also people
Oh.
with defined G centers tend to be much better with directions than people with undefined G centers. I can walk out of a
Interesting.
store and be in like completely go the wrong way, like forget,
Whoa.
but more metaphorically in life, you know, um it would be that
Wow.
like I don't have that consistent pull towards things, and so I just know when I'm in the space like this is right
Mm.
or this isn't right, and I get to trust that that's being brought to me. And another really cool thing is that people like you tend to be the people who bring places to other people like me. So I get to, you know,
Mm.
it's funny because like all of my friends with defined G centers, they're so good at like recommending places to me. I don't have to look for any, like they love doing it. And like they're like my travel guides. It's great. Like if you
So cool.
if you're an undefined G center and you have a friend who's a G center, like travel with them because it's the best. Like they figure out all the
Wow.
places to go. Okay, this actually leads me to another question
Yeah.
about the Akasha. So when you're in meditation and you're receiving information, how do you know that's not conditioning
Mhm.
or, you know, just pain maybe that you're translating,
Totally.
versus intuitive guidance, universal wisdom?
Hmm. And it's a really good question and like an important one because discernment is so important when you're doing this work. Um, and it's not really intuitive guidance either. It's a whole different thing. Um, it's universal information, it's that's what it is. The way that so there's so much work you can do to be able to get to that level, and it takes a lot of time. But the way seasoned and practiced Akashic meditator would know that they're in that space is because they have done the work with their inner being and every part of themselves up until this point and learned who they are and what their loops are. You learn how you imagine, you learn what your subconscious brings you, you learn what your brain likes doing. And you do this through meditation. That's what meditation is best at, once you let it be. And once you learn your loops and the way your brain works and how your body makes you like be itchy at the worst moments and things like that. And then you observe that and you step behind it. That's when you can actually see the truth that stands, and that's why like Buddhist yogis like practice meditation for such long hours and so committed to their practice, so committed to what they put in their body, the way they treat themselves and their environment, because it all does have an effect. And it's not just like, well, I'm just going to sit, say this prayer, and then receive all the information in the world. It's like you have to condition your body to be able to receive that information. And when you do that work, you feel it. It's you're receiving true information.
And do you know because it feels very resonant?
It feels like it's coming from outside of you. Even though we are the Akasha, it's all around us, it doesn't feel like the way our mind loops, the way our mind feels, our body feels, the way we imagine, if you do imagine. It feels different than that. It feels like outside information, like having a conversation with something outside of yourself.
Interesting.
Hmm.
This is so cool. Um, well, let me see. I feel like I had a couple other questions, but um, well, if you have any, let's say, someone wanted to start working with the Akasha or they wanted to get an Akashic reading, what's a piece of advice you would have for both people?
Patience. So if you want to get a reading, I question I would question like how long the person's been doing the reading, who their teacher was, and whatnot. And also like, and to keep in mind that like every piece of information that you receive within a reading is a small piece of a bigger puzzle usually. Um, and if you are getting a reading, like implementation is like really important. If you're wanting to learn how to do it for yourself, which I think is honestly the most important, that's why I kind of switched over from readings to teaching people how to do it. Not everyone's going to want that. Some people are just going to want readings, and that's perfectly fine. But for those people who are really interested in reading for themselves, like be really patient with yourself and know that it's a journey and a practice. It's not something that anyone's entitled to or that you get. It's something that you are on a daily basis. You are the Akasha, you live within it, you live amongst it, it lives within you, you are it. All you're trying to do is go deep inward to receive different type of information that we're not seeing, hearing, or smelling. So it's beyond our senses. And to do that, it's kind of a difficult journey for some people because you have to let go of your senses. That's not an easy thing to do. So be patient with yourself in that process and be persistent and make it joyful. Like it's not a stern thing. Like it's not something that's serious because life isn't meant to be that serious. It's supposed to be joyous. So make it fun too.
So I actually have one last question.
Yeah,
So
of course.
so when you're going into, meditation
Uh-huh.
or entering Akasha or just communing with it, is there like a best way to frame questions? Like, should you go in with the question? What's the best way to approach that?
Yeah, there are many different ways to approach that. I know some teachers teach you have to frame questions this very specific way to get answers. The whole point of that is like, don't ask questions that you already know the answers to, right? Because then your imagination, your subconscious is going to jump in. It has to be like a real burning question. And that's when you yourself will be surprised with the answer, right? And that's what we're going for. So there's different ways you can word it for sure. But what I have personally found is like just going into a deep meditation and connecting to that frequency and just sitting within it and seeing what comes has been more helpful for me because it also helps me practice surrender, which is a big part of meditation anyway, and not trying to be in control of an outcome or of a situation even. Um, I personally like just sitting and seeing what comes, and it makes it more exciting that way too, because it's just like, what's in store for me now? You know? And if I do have a question where it's like outside of me and Google and like scientific studies or whatnot, then I can go in and just kind of investigate. Like I want to learn about the rishis and their day-to-day lives, and like going into that space and seeing it is really cool. Like I want, like doing things like that has been helpful for me, because then you see like the energy that they have and the way they go about their day, and that helps me. I'm like, oh wow. Um it wasn't so serious. So there are different ways of asking questions, what I'm saying. You can not ask a question, or you can ask like burning questions, but asking questions you know the answers to will most likely lead you to questioning whether it's even real or not, because then you're receiving something you already knew.
Do you mean questions like,
You know the
like
answers to. Like,
like just personal, like let's say someone has like an issue they're dealing with or something and they're like,
yeah,
what, how do I deal with this? And so if you
yeah,
technically already know it in you, then don't
yeah.
ask. Okay.
Here's the thing. Yeah, I love the example you gave. So you have a problem, right? Let's say um, I have a problem with whatever, like in my life, and deep down, I know how to resolve it and I know what I'm supposed to do, but it's really not what I want to do.
Hmm.
So I'm going to go and sit in meditation and ask, like, what do I need to do with this problem? And then I receive the answer that I already knew. And then I'm like, yeah, but that's just me telling myself that that can't be real, right?
Hmm.
So that's what I'm saying. Like it's really hard to discern an answer to a question that you already know the answer to. So when you're asking, especially in the beginning, if you're asking questions that are actually burning and you really don't know what to do, those are going to be the ones that are helpful in discernment and you being able to see the truth. Because then you're like surprised by the answer too. You're like, oh, I didn't realize that. And like when you're receiving this information, you're receiving it on like such a deep soul level, right? So it's like for me at least, like I feel it, like I'm there. It changes me, like something changes me, and especially with like that one universe one that I told you, because like you could watch a science movie of like how the universe is made and it's not the same, you know what I mean? But when you're in it and you're like, whoa, that's what it really was, it's like it feels like you're really there being shown exactly what happened. um and that's the big difference, like when you don't really know the answer to something and you're being shown what's really happened or what you really need to do, then you feel it on a different level. Does that make sense now? Think
Hmm.
so? Okay.
Awesome.
I
Well,
don't know.
this has been so much fun. Absolutely love talking to you.
Oh,
You
you
rock.
too. Thanks for having me. It's been a
Of course.
pleasure.
So how can people find you? How can they work with you?
Well, you can find me on magicinclined.com, and everything's there. Courses to teach you how to go inward and look at all that stuff, and then courses on, how to read for others and how to teach about the Akasha and all that stuff, whatever adventure you're seeking. But there's also like a free community like of people that you can just like connect with and talk to and learn from and be with. Everything's like on a membership level now, so free to whatever you want to pay, and that's all on the site.
Awesome. And then you're on Instagram too at Magically Inclined, right?
I'm on Instagram at Magic Inclined.
Magic
Yes.
Inclined. Got
And
it.
TikTok. We'll see if TikTok lasts for a long time or not. But I took a break, but I was really enjoying it when I was using it. It's really fun.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, then people like you need to be on it because I cannot be on TikTok. I was like, I'm out. Like,
You're like, this is over.
not my thing. But
Yeah.
anyway, you are awesome, my friend.
Oh,
Thank
you too.
you. You rock. And everyone else listening, you rock. And I will see you next time.